Hey guys, it's Roots. I'm going to get ready to do some of my batches, so if you want to make lots of something, this would be a good thing. Today we're going to make a sandalwood, or you can call it frankincense, whichever one you want, but since sandalwood is the primary smell, sandalwood pomade, of course the jar is empty. I'm just showing you my little glass jar. I'm going to go over the ingredients and then we're just going to jump right into making it, okay? Let me set this down. Alright, cameraman. We have cocoa butter wafers. You can also just use the cocoa butter solid if you wish. We're going to use coconut oil, any kind of coconut oil that you have, because with most pomades, let's stay down on the table, baby. The solid oils is what gives the product its solidity, or the firmness to the product, I should say. We also have castor oil. You know, that's excellent for hair. We have grapeseed oil. You can use any kind of oil that you have in a pomade, so don't get caught up in the oils. What you're using to make it solid is usually cocoa butter or some type of solid oil itself, like beeswax can also be used. We're also going to use soybean oil. We're going to put macadamia nut oil. This is infused calendula oil. You know, calendula is excellent for the hair. The biggest thing with me is fragrance. Because I'm making this for myself and two of the males in my home, the smells that I'm wanting are more exotic, or shall we say more masculine. If anybody saw the video for my frankincense exotic oil, we're using the little bit that I have left in this for fragrance. We're also going to use jasmine, although you think jasmine is just a smell for women. It smells great once you blend it with other things. A friend of mine just came back from India and actually bought me sandalwood oil. Thank you, Mira! We also have bergamot oil, I should say essential oils, and geranium essential oil. We're going to move these over to the side and we're going to get started. Alrighty. This is getting heated up. As you can see, it's got a little bit of water. Make sure you don't get any water inside the jar. We're going to put 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of the cocoa butter wafers. And these are just measures that I make up. You know, if you want to do exact measurements, that's fine, but that's not how I'm doing it. We're going to put 1, 2, 3 large heaping tablespoons of the coconut oil. And these we are going to heat. Because the other ones are already liquid, we are not going to heat those. And we're going to take these over to the stove and I'm going to melt them. We already have a double boiler. The water is already hot and bubbling. The cocoa butter and the coconut oil melts really, really, really quickly. If you see in there, I just set it up there, but also the glass jar was already sort of warm. It starts to melt really quickly, like I said. While that is melting, I'm not so much going to heat the other oils, but I would like to warm them a bit because I want to make sure that everything mixes well. We're going to put a ½ cup, which is 4 ounces of castor oil. That seems like a lot of castor oil, but it's good stuff. It works for what you want it to. We're going to go ahead and turn the flames off of that because the water under it is still really hot. Get all that castor oil out. We're going to get our soybean oil. And we're going to put a ½ cup of the soybean oil. We're going to pour that in too. My wafers aren't thoroughly melted, so we'll have to make sure all that melts together really well. Alright, let me grab my spoon here. The wafers aren't totally melted, so I'm going to have to turn the heat back on for a second. And while that's going, let me get my rubber spatula. Whenever you are doing any of your mixes, make sure you have a rubber spatula to get every bit out of your jar. You don't want to waste any of your product, any of your oil. You want to save your money. Save your money for gas, because heck, it's expensive enough. I think we got every drop. We'll sit that down for a second. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'll be right back once I get this all heated and melted. Alright guys, we finally got it melted. It took a few minutes longer than I thought to melt those cocoa butter wafers, but sometimes they do that. Sometimes I don't judge my time correct. And this is hot, so be very careful when you're handling hot oils, because if you get that stuff on you, man, are you burned. I have a burn to prove it, actually. Got all those oils melted. Now we're going to put the rest of our oils. We're going to actually measure these. This is grapeseed oil. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of that. And that's 15 milliliters if you're doing the European measure. Grapeseed oil. Also the infused calendula oil. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of that. Let's see. It's still just barely warm. Let me just check the temperature. Yes, it's barely warm. It was just enough to melt the cocoa butter wafers, but not hot enough to burn me. The reason that that was important is because you do not want to destroy the vitamin content of some of these oils by overheating it. The macadamia nut, which I usually keep in the refrigerator, as you can see, if you keep it in the refrigerator, it kind of turns semi-solid. I don't want to cook that at all. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of that. And we'll put that back in the refrigerator when we're done. Oops, we dropped it. There we go. And the frankincense exotic infused oil. Oh man, that still smells so good. You can smell that frankincense and myrrh and ginger in there. Just fabulous. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of that. Now, of course, if you don't have the infused exotic oil, you could just use your frankincense or your myrrh oil or exactly whatever it is that you have. Lots of clicking noises. Put that down. Get this all stirred in really well, because we're going to get it in the jar while it is still sort of warm. It's not even really that warm. It was just enough to melt it. Let me check it one more time. There we go. See, it's not even hot to the wrist. Let me clean that off. Now, here comes the good part. We're going to put our bergamot oil. You know I love to smell everything. And I think that's 10. We're going to put 10 of the jasmine. Of course, you do not have to use these scents. Come on, Jasmine. She wants to be stubborn today. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you do not want to use these fragrances, as with any palm oil, use what you have. I'm using these for specific reasons, and I'll list some of them. We're also going to do geranium. I love geranium. Actually, I love all the things that I have. Some of the smells are a little earthy. That's 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the sandalwood, I'm not going to be as generous with that. Man, that smells so good. Let me get the lid off of it. I always end up doing that. Can't get the lid off of it. There we go. Now this, we're going to put a 4th. Oh man, that smells so good. We're going to put a 4th teaspoon of that. And let's see how many milliliters that is. That is 0.75 milliliters. Of course, you can always use a little bit more. Once it cools down a bit, you can adjust the smell to what you like. Alrighty, get that all stirred in. Give it a whiff. Hold your arm out, baby. Let me get a whiff smell. That smells so good. Let me grab the jars. Since we're going to be using this, I actually made this for men, but of course I've got to use it myself. I have to know what it smells like with his chemistry. This is just a little something extra. You don't have to do this. See that pretty, bright, vibrant oil? That is a nata or a natto. Let me see. I think I have the label because I meant to show this to you. And it's also called a chote oil. I think it's a tropical oil that they use. It's also called the lipstick plant. I'm going to put just a little bit of that for coloring. And also, this is a great antioxidant. Helps repel bugs too. There we go. That way, since they're going to be smelling so sweet when they do their hair, hopefully this will keep the bugs off of them. So we got a little bit of a color change. I'm going to get these poured into the jars, and then I'm going to let them cool, and at the end of the video I'm going to come back to it, and then I'm going to show it to you, and we'll do a recap of all the things that we used, and also tell you who, what, and why. Let me get the lids off. You know I absolutely love my glass jars. I've used those forever. Pour them, but not all the way to the top. I think I got a seed in that one, but I'll get that out in just a second. I mean, this is money saved for gas, probably. And there we go. We have our 3 jars. 3 males, 3 jars. There we go. Money that they did not have to spend. Besides, they know I'm not going to let them spend that money on something anyway, such as this. And we'll be back in just a bit. A little pan up, doll. We'll come back in just a minute after it's cool, and I'll show you the finished product. Okay guys, we're all done. The jars are now full. Put them in the freezer. That is a quick little tip too. I don't know if you know that. I didn't know that a long time ago, but I'll pass that along. If you make pomades or things that are solid or semi-solid, and you're not wanting to wait a long time if you have a batch to cool them off, put them in the freezer. Of course, don't let any water or anything drip in it. Your freezer shouldn't have water in it anyway. But anyway, that helps to cool the oils off faster and make them solidify. Hand down, cameraman. Here we are. We got our 3 jars with all of our different oils. As you can see, the cocoa butter, which is making it more of a semi-solid, has cooled. Since we mixed everything while it was melted, let me show you the consistency. Here's one of the jars. It's not a hard pomade. Of course, I'm not going to stick my hand in there. But I'm going to get a little bit and put it on the plate. Once you take it out, it immediately starts to melt. Let me put a little bit back because it just takes a little bit of pomade. Put it in your hand. It immediately starts to melt. Oh man, that smells so good. And you're ready to rub it on. It's not just for men, of course. I made this scent just because they like the sandalwood. They think it's more manly. But everybody knows that sandalwood can be used by anybody. Plus, it's really good for the hair and the skin. For me, I use it a little bit of everywhere. That's a little bit too much information, I know. But anyway, if you want to save a little bit of money, make your own pomades, put them in your jars. These are another good thing. They're excellent in your gift baskets. Of course, if you just let them cool on the counter, if you're not going to put them in the freezer, do not cap them until they're totally solid and they're totally cool, because you don't want any condensate to drip in it and grow mold. Hopefully that annatto seed will help with that, but that's one of my new experiments, something that I saw on Discovery Channel. So, talk to you guys soon.